are talking about the people on the planet, with emphasis in the people on the planet. And when we talk about energy transmission, generation, do not forget that this middle-income region as Latin America, we still have 17 millions of people without access to electricity, October 2025. And we have about 70 millions that have intermittent, not safe and steady access or through oil, and that is also part of the energy transition. It is the hardest work, the more complex work, technically, logistically speaking, financially speaking. However, we need to understand that this is one of the goals in the region, and we have a very good reception with Olade to understand these topics as a universal access in this week of the energy. We are going to talk about this topic and share some experiences. And I don't want to get late because we have the undersecretary from Brazil, and he has left the meeting of ministers, so he's here for the welcoming words. And thank you for being here. Brazil has been doing an amazing work in this area, so thank you for being here.
Muy buenos días a todos.
Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. I'm going to excuse myself because I have to stay just a few minutes because then I have the ministerial meeting. But I would like to say thank you to Milena Yape because of this invitation to participate of this session and to share the Brazilian experience in this great challenge of the universalization of the access to electricity. The last 20 years, approximately 20 million Brazilians have gotten access to electricity, and this has benefited almost 4 millions of households and families. It's $4.5 million that have been invested in this initiative. And we have approximately.
Entonces, hay mucho que hacer.
There is a lot to do yet, but we have been working in the Amazonas region, specifically for infrastructure dependence of oil or diesel generation of electricity that means high cost of generation for the Brazilian consumers and users, and emissions that are high as well. And this is called, in 2023, a program we started that is called Amazonian Energy. And we are trying to reduce the carbon emissions, everything related to the oil or diesel production of energy, and to improve the quality of energy and energy supply, to reduce the cost of generation, and that are supported by all the Brazilian users. And a goal of this program that it is called Amazon Energy, it is to reduce 1.2 million tons of CO2 emissions to 2030 and to reduce 70% of the generation of diesel in the electricity system in Brazil. We have 5 instruments to implement this program. These are auctions of transmission in the interconnected system, auctions for the hiring of renewable energies, hybrid hybrid solutions, and anticipation of resources of the tariffs of the energy, electric energy tariffs, and also uses elements of the private industry in Brazil in order to support with the solutions and emissions in the Amazonian area. And as a result of this program, recently, a few years ago, we completed an auction for the isolated systems where the winning projects got 50% of renewable energy. And these auctions are benefiting 30,000 people and almost $60 million of investment. And in the last auction, we got 30 megavatios of battery energy and 50 megavatios of solar energy, and this is the highest storage battery system in Brazil. And then another achievement of this program, it is this project of finishing the reduction of the infrastructure of the regeneration. So we selected 14 proposals that work with 36 different small cities and villages and benefited thousands of people. Also programs of hybrid projects, thermal centrals, photovoltaic energy, photo batteries, and efficiency of electricity programs. Despite of all of this, the Brazilian government acknowledges that we need actually other elements and partners and models in order to advance and to guarantee the sustainability of this in the long term. For this reason, the Minister of Energy has established alliances with other institutions like IAPE, IDB, GIS, in areas as universal access, productive uses of the energy, assessment of the social impact, introduction of regeneration of renewable energy in isolated communities, among others. This is fundamental. We got new models to get those, to have access to those people that are still in a vulnerable position and then they are affected by this scarcity or lack of connectivity to electricity. And I would like to finish by saying that the access is very important in Brazil, in Latin America. We are talking about access to energy, but also we are talking about dignity of the people. This is the commitment Brazil has, and this is the commitment that we have with Latin America and the Caribbean region. And this is why I am here to reinforce that idea. And thank you for the invitation, and I wish you a fruitful day of work.
Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. We really do thank you for your time. And we're going to listen to some of our colleagues in the system that keep working as Brazil in terms of access. And then we have a panel with people They're going to talk about the problems and these type of things that are going on. So, Jose Toron, whenever you want, the floor is yours. Is the official program of Latin America of IRENA, and is going to talk about the transition processes. Thank you so much, and good morning, Isabel. Good morning, Gea, and all of our partners that are helping us out with. We have some presentations, and we would like you to listen to those. So I'm going to introduce the global initiatives that the ALENA has for the remote communities to the synergies. And let's see which is the objective. It's huge. And we have renewable energies at the end of 2023, 73 million homes have laid less than 8 hours to most of the health, and that is quite relevant after all. The market that we have, the bioenergy, is the technology that is the most persistent one, but also the sun energy is taking more and more relevance. So it's very important to assist that in this initiative. 720 million, they live in this type of access, and that is quite difficult after all. Most of all, from the other side, is they have like a 9% of the population on the island, or small, almost 740 million have a very limited access to energy. This is a population that can be assisted very clearly. 277 million all over the world has these issues. And how do we refine a remote is something that has difficulty creating and working with energy, and also the last mile and the remote islands. The networks is difficult that they have access to that after all. So the transition, it's the decarbonization and the access to the clean energy and the offer of the trust energy. This is part of what has been launched in the 2026, as it is from the government of the world of Canada. This has been published a guide for the renewable energy for remote communities, and it's part of an effort that is being done here in IRENA with other partners of development. We have had other session in the Middle East as well. We have included some countries, institution, and exchange of many things, and there's still a working plan that still offers this type of attention. So this guide of the development is a case of study that we have selected. We looked for a certain degree of diversity, but also we have other aspects that are interesting, as well as the Industrial Revolution. We dealt with some study cases in some countries that are part of the development. And you think about access to energy, and you don't think about the United Kingdom, about the island that has a difficult access, or in Canada, where the indigenous population suffers this problem. In countries in Africa and Latin America, where we chose the state of Oaxaca, Mexico, and small islands, we try to attack different segments. And all of these, they comply with the definition of remote that has different contributions, and the electrical system to what they were connected that suffer different technologies, and that is quite something quite diverse. And the publication is available, of course, and you can review it later on if you want to. And then the subject of the global initiative concerning IRENA is part of different activities of capacity in Nepal and Indonesia, and we work with partners such as DIA, the Foundation, Canada, the Islamic Bank of Development is a global effort that includes global players and deals with all of these issues. I told you that I was going to be very brief, but that is the idea. We want to introduce other speakers. Thank you very much, Isabel. Thank you so much, Jose. And now we're going to listen to the Secretary of Ministry of Energy in Brazil, Light for Everyone. And we have here Eduardo Duarte, that is the Subdirector of Universal Access and Social Policies in Brazil, guiding the work of others with a program that is very new and successful. And we want to listen to him so we can deal with this conversation of the panel. Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning, all. It's an honor to be here to talk about in Montevideo and in Ochave and the Week of Energy. And I really do appreciate this invitation of Irena and Elade to share a bit the successful that we have, the success after all that we have in Brazil, with some difficulties, with some results, and that's the idea, to be able to share what's going on.
Então, esses programas para todos começou com o diagnóstico do ano 2000, onde
in the year
podemos
2000,
ver lá
we started with what is the access, the most significant access, north and northeast. We can see a very large correlation and a low presentation of access with the indexes of human development. And the diagnosis is part in 2 million homes without access to energy. And with time, like more than 2 million families, we really achieved to connect these million people in 2009, sorry, but we needed to review the program until 2020 energy to improve the accesses. And that was due to the programs of the Amazonia in 2020, and this was integrated in 2023. Like the purpose to supply electrical energy for the rural regions, and some that have been supported to other places. So we have the goal to finalize the program in 2026 in the rural means with the electrical network, and 2028 in the rural Amazonia for photovoltaic systems. The sources of the resource of the program, the main one is the carbono rate. This is something that we have shared already with all the users. In 21 years, then, we have achieved to supply 7.3 million families and 0.5 millions of investments. But still, we have the challenge of connecting more people and more units of consumption. Around 60 and 70,000 are found in the region. The networks and the rural areas of the systems of Amazonia. And due to time, we perceive the need to do like at the very beginning, like doing the purpose to reach what to do, and the batteries of lithium and the modernization of other areas. This is a modification that we did with some ideas of the program, and like with the best life quality and the best conditions that we can give on the method of activities and family, and also improving at all times the quality. So concerning the energy, like we have seen the improvement of the acquisition of the domestic TV, and like we need to move on really to just try to see the different entities, the sectors and the NGOs and all of that. And we have as well like constructing a very special project with the Amazonia, and it's sustainable after all, with 5 pilots of Amazonia to boost the productive uses. So we are really using a cooperation technique of this entity, and some areas of this sustainability, they deal with this bit with 21 million trees are going to be cut to the Amazonia, and we're talking about also so many that are going to be preserved. And at the end of the program, we are going to be having 234,000 areas preserved and many batteries of lithium. It is part of the management of the wastes that are also solid in this case. When we talk about fighting the energetic, this type of poverty, we talk about the access and also the conditions that we deal with. And we have in Brazil the voice of people, that is the name of the program that works all together. And we have around like 80 million of consumption that has been registered, and many do not pay the rates, and around 1,000 million dollars they are invested per year to support this public policy. And here we have some projects that we have executed. We're going to find them in Brazil. An example is the reservation of the sustainable idea, the commercial activities being in the area of production and sale of a system, mini network with 85 units of consumption. And we are going to work on a very special program on the reservation of Unami, the indigenous of Kupupu, to be able to do 60 per day. And it is part of a system with many kilowatts per hour. And it's part of an example here, very important, concerning a social conflict. And at the very beginning, we wanted to do the access, that is photovoltaic, and it is part of a very far away area that we really try to manage. So around 700 families received that benefit with that extension in a very difficult situation. So take into account that this photovoltaic area was very isolated, but that's the idea, to try to manage the conflict, and that is very, very important for us. And here we have an emblematic picture with a family in the middle of the river and the access of the energy, the type of access that we do in Brazil, in the Amazonia. And here it's a matter of sharing the experiences. Thank you so much, Eduardo. It's impressive what Brazil is doing. But as you mentioned, this is a work that requires alliances, and it's very clear that the focus or the strategy that has led us to stratify Latin America at 95% is not going to be the one that reaches up to the 100. We need a clear another type of model and actors, and an actor that is very important in the region. We have Edwin Madalagon, that is the senior specialist and has a project as well. Uh, we were talking about the Amazonia, but now it's a matter of Edwin. Thank you so much. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you so much for this invitation and to share the experience that we have on the accelerator. It is called Clean Energy. And let's say that our vision in this time of social transition, it's a it has to be successful, but here we are not going to have any other thing. We have to have clean energy. We can have electromobility, but if we have this quantity of people in the region, um, with that, we're going to comply what we need.
Entonces, para nosotros es muy
So important the access, and I wanted to tell you about a genesis on how does it start the accelerator. In the 2023 and 2024, the Bank of the Interamericano launched a very institutional access.
el banco emitió una nueva estrategia
The
con tres
bank
objetivos.
issued a new strategy with three objectives. The first one, to reduce the poverty and the lack of equality in the region, and then to deal with the climate change, and third, to boost the sustainable development. Something very interesting gave us a realm on what's going on in the reduction of the poverty. The projects were very oriented something that is renewable. And we are with the area and the same deadline because it deals with the universal access. As you have heard before, this is not going to solve poverty, of course. This is an important conditions. And this is a multidimensional poverty, and one of the dimensions is part of this type of access. And also in the region, as it has been introduced by the government of Brazil, there's a full interest by the Amazony because we realize that we are getting into a non-return point. The situation shares and works with this lack of deforestation. And it's a matter of poverty and the sustained energetic idea, and be able to cover up this last mile. And this matches the technical assistance. We work with JEP in the area of financing to work with the plants and these geospatial and the investment. The idea here is to see how to deal with the program to finance the different countries of the region. In Bolivia, in Colombia, in Peru, it's like a part of a program and preparation of $800 million. So this is like an important strategic area, and it's something quite essential. And it's a matter of using it to organize, as well as the countries, to deal with these programs. It's something that has been requested. And this is where this interest of the bank starts. This is the Amazonic context. What is the Amazony? And that is on the right, more or less the 40% of South America is covered by the Amazonia in concept of the rivers, for example, that they lead to this type of initiative. And some countries, they are covered completely, and there's like $6 million and access of many energetic accesses that do not exist. And the diesel, even though they have a service, is not a service that is efficient or of quality. It is something important, of course, but if we take a look at energetic awards and the climate, what generates more emissions, it's part of the renewable energies, like 800 kilowatts per hour. And this is a climate change. It's very, very important. And the idea of the cost is like working with 350, and that is a variation. In Bolivia, for example, it's part of the fuel, what's going on with the north in the country, and it's a matter of getting out to Peru. So it's a matter of getting to Bolivia.
I think 350, it's far from that. So everything that it's related to the efficiency of the climate, but it has to be beneficial in the whole chain. And we had several questions. How can we contribute as a multilateral entity to coordinate this? How to coordinate better the donors? How to make that the investment is viable, because sometimes I have a very small demand and it requires a high investment because in the interconnected system, you can actually share the cost and you have the possibility of have cross subsidies, and then it's sustainable for the final cost to the user. But here it's not like that. I have a small population that is vulnerable and I cannot charge them completely. So how do I solve that? How do I escalate the projects? And it happens a lot because we have these pilot systems. How do we multiply this and to make it systematic? Basically, the goals of the initiatives, it is to get to the 100% of the access to cover the access to electricity and to replace diesel and to replace it with renewable energy and other solutions, and to get to 100% of access to the modern energy to cook. And we have our strategic partners in this initiative, of course. We have this initiative coming from these countries, and together we are working with the CIF and GIA as well. And this was approved in the board, this program, and then we have the possibility to have the first funding source from CF5, the climate investment funds. We have $150 million to start, and then 3 million are non-reimbursed. And then we have another project in Bolivia that has a very interesting project because it's connecting the northern area of Bolivia with the interconnected system in Brazil, because the cities currently work with diesel and oil, and it requires $80 million for this to work. And in the other country, the distribution network gets to that point. So it is just extending this and converting the frequency of the energy, but it's going to take us from this kind of diesel in the Bolivian side is going to be turning the clean energy coming from Brazil. But this takes time, and we need to take these platforms to have this collaboration happening. And the two things that I highlight here, because they consist in the next 5 years. So if I get to reduce that rate to 1%, that it's going to be more viable, and the fiscal effort is not that big, and to have this it's resources needing is going to alleviate this process in the long and the cost in the long term. And the other program, it is the electrification program that we call it Tren in Bolivia. And when we started with this project, the government asked 200 million, as 125 million. So we were looking at the funding, and actually and GIA also supported us with some resources. So at the end, we have a pool of funders, but that took time. And if I have a platform where I have these projects all together, and I have identified the needs, and I have the table of donors and this list of donors, this is going to be easier. And this kind of initiative, these resources can make viable the projects, and the second, to have this list or table where the donors have eligible projects to fund and to choose from. So that task, it's going to be really advanced because we already are working on this. To complement, let's say that to put together this initiative, this analysis that we know from the planning stage to the regulatory, the risk, tariffs, business model, and also these gaps of invest to these goals. But first of all, here, this is the big number that we need to cover in order to cover 186 millions in the Amazonian region, and also to replace everything that is working based on fossil fuels in the region. In total, in the region, it would be $5.4 thousand million, and also for the clean cooking. This is the analysis, and this included as well the analysis of the different barriers. And I think that the literature has plenty content about this, but I would like to highlight, and I mentioned it to the director, the sustainability of the investment is really important. It is the breaking point. And first, we need to make sure that we have an operator or an entity that is going to operate the system. This is very important. And then to use the ones that we already have. It can be the same distributors. It depends on how remote is. In some countries, this is not so far away. We need to see how remote it is. But this inclusion is important. Also, we can include communities or private entities. And to solve this, regulatory speaking, that the regulation defines this is very important, because you don't have to think in every project like this, like specific cases. And then we have the tariffs, and we know we need to change the batteries. Probably this money is not going to come completely from the users, only 20%. Where are we going to get this money from? What operator is going to help us with this, and whose party is going to intervene here? So these kind of things, it's something that's being studied, but it's not solved. If we are open to integrate efforts, and we can so all together get to our goal. Thank you very much. Thank you, Edwin. It's a mono topic here because we need to continue supporting the access of energy. And of course, the need of coordination, the amounts that we need are amazing, big numbers. And we are supporting access topic, but we do not have $4.5 million. So we have to think in an innovative way, and we have to start thinking and seeing how we can be creative. We have what Irina presented, success cases. We have also other work that's been done parallelly, and we have to get all this together. Or maybe we have informal organizations as well. But this is universal. It's a universal agreement. In Latin America, we need to exchange experiences and coordinate better this sector, and everyone can help us to move in the right direction. Edwin talked about poverty in different dimensions, and we had this study that energy is just one of the factors of this poverty, and it is the most determining factor. All people that has no energy, it has also the other factors of poverty. Is not only one factor involved. And now I'm going to give the mic to Ivo Salazar, manager of Action Latin America, so they can tell us what it is and they are going to tell us what are they doing in every area besides funding, because we already heard about that. So thank you very much. Ivo, the mic is yours.
Bueno, me toca un poco exponer un poco más en terreno.
I would like to present a little bit more about the field. The challenge is quite high. And I would like to tell you a little bit about our experience in practical action, practical solutions. That is what we like to give. And our head office is in the United Kingdom. And our work, it's basically with the communities. And we like to establish alliances with the different actors and partners in these zones, in the areas, so we can guarantee our actions. And we have 40 years in Peru, we have offices in Bolivia, in Ecuador, and also we are contributing with technical assistance to other countries in Latin America.
I would like to tell you about the processes of energy and like almost 40. What about the hydroelectrical things? And we were able to identify these accesses because the people has put some ideas and some welding companies, commerces and productive use with maker centrals that have worked a lot and very good. So many of the places, in fact, has made us be with this electrical network, but people, they have the central idea and being combined. So here there's a part of the energy that is very important. And I've been in projects of electrification in the ministry in Peru, where I don't live, and maybe something that is very important as well. And some things maybe there's more similar, but in Peru the biodiversity is quite wide, as in Bolivia. So like I have the consideration that the projects of the states, they're unique. We're going to put a lot of energy in that we call Peru, but the reality of Peru is very different. We have the Andean area, we have the Amazonic area as well, and we have the Amazonics as well, with a very important situation. Even they can be zero the altitude, and then we have several realities. Just one solution to this population with different networks, with different uses. So it's sometimes a bit difficult. And I understand that in the government that is quite difficult, and this has let us be, this has given us certain solutions.
Y me parece importante todo lo
And I
que
think it's very important to know and to take into account what has been said before. And something that I believe very relevant, given that we are getting here in the artificial intelligence, electrical vehicles and all of that, say a gap with all the populations of extreme poverty. If we are more or less in a 27%, in some cases we can even reach 75. So it's an average.
Entonces, necesitamos
So we need
la pobreza, aparte de la energía, yo creo que
a poverty as well as the energy. I think that we can improve the life of people, incorporating some activities. In some occasions, that is a way to trigger things and to deal with simple things. And in some cases, we also need a bit more of sophistication. I remember that when I started talking about this, well, things were a bit different now, a long time ago. But what about the machines, for example, for the alpacas, for the wool? We never had those, and we started to discuss that, and now they work quite well in all the areas. So our experience has been, in terms of productive uses, has been wide, and the ministries, it is part of an upgrade where we are in Latin America, in Africa, and in Asia, in this planet. Now then, the first case that I wanted to tell you about, we have two. One of them is in the Amazonic area, and the first case, they're the systems of San, that is near the Titicaca Lake, as you well know, is part of Peru and Bolivia. This one here is part of our office of Bolivia. They have implemented this, and in 10 communities, they have implemented these technologies, these systems of pumping, and this is a product of all the hydric stress in these last years to come, even in the Amazonia as well. We have simplified the height of the rivers. So on that sense, we made this pilot plan and the pumping on this area. And these are more or less 280 homes and 1,400 people, if we take that into account. We've been looking for, it's a climate change. We've been having a patient included the same locations, and we put some, this is what the idea, right? To agree on something and how we were going to work on this concerning this subject. So this is our participation concerning this pumping, and also participation that deals with the group work with the population. So we had a very successful process. We see somehow that our project is more integral. We want to make it more integral. And it's not only the sun energy and the pumping, because this goes to the agriculture. This is where we start. This is where the complications start. Because we need to get all the watering And in this area, we had 15 hectares for this matter of implementation. And this is the image, the Titicaca River. And we put some photovoltaic between 5.3 and some kilowatts of the location, and the depth of volumes that we have been using. And this is the second component here. It is a second one with the funding, and this goes to the agriculture. So we have a watering technical thing, so people could consume this in an adequate manner. And this is a matter of strengthening of capacities of management of water and the care of the gathering systems and the unified expression of risk. So with different type of cultures, and also the practices, the regular practices. This is a strengthening and an improvement of the way we work. So what do? We use some organic inputs, organic products, everything concerning the technical matters, of course, is something to take into account. We've been doing very interesting works, and we help a lot with the unification. We produce carrots, lettuces, and this is a food intake matter. Now they consume products in the families, but at the same time, these products, they get a very high value of the Andean area. So we've been able to sell them, and with this type of initiative, we've been able to move on with life of people. Now they have a better food intake. They can have products that they can take in the market, etc. They can sell them in the market. We had a conversation with ministry, now stopped due to the elections, of course, but we wanted to see how to replicate, because our interest is always to show a work model to then try to repeat the experiences that we are living. So how do we do these innovations? We show off these technologies, and we escalate therefore after that, so the ministries can have and see a public system collected. Range systems, they use quite a lot of material, and the population here, we rated at 0.5 per dollar. This is the payment capacity. And the municipality has decided, so the difference in terms of maintenance is much better. And so they're going to cover up everything. But here comes what I said before. We can get into detail if you want, and we can reply to your questions. So we have a Ministry of Energy at the beginning, at the start off, and a Ministry of what exists on the area. There we have a coordinated work if you want to promote it and to see how to coordinate it and move on with that. Given that this is quite important population, that's the idea. Maybe to take them out of poverty, or at least try and give them better life conditions. With the problems of the climate change in this area, the rainfall is less and less, and the Titicaca River has been reduced significantly. So the change of water in these areas has been reduced, and is very important, this type of measures. Also, as well as the electrification. And how to make it sustainable then? Because the thing is that we have helped to promote the sustainability of these facilities, but then what one changes the other, and this is not institutionalized as we have been listening to before. So we have a matter way to see how to sustainable these type of initiatives. It's not easy, but I have them here and I'm ready to discuss them with you. So we can all look for solutions, how we can find a solution to these things. So this is one of the things I wanted to discuss with you, and the other one is One Amazonic. Is also the same thing. It's a sort of experience in Amazonic matters, and the Amazonia is we have almost the 60% of the territory, and what we have noticed is the access to markets free from a main commercial city, and the products cannot arrive. So what we've seen as an option is to turn this population Amazonic fruit, and also to find a series of projects that have a very high value, especially the cosmetic oil. So what we've been posing here is to try to put hundreds of transformation in the Amazonia. We have discussed these things with the private sector, especially in the nearest area to those that know what's going on, where they collect these fruits. But also, either ways, we have felt that the pilot subject and the matter of knowing if these works or not, and if we can coordinate this with the indigenous communities, is something very important for them. So this is where we are at in this process of implementation. We're trying to bring our best and try to put it into the private sector somehow to see if there's a possibility and they can get involved to help. This could be a benefit, of course. In Lima, a jar of 100 millimeters in Lima is at $10, and in Europe it's at 10 euros. So 10 and 10, $10 and 10 euros. It has several advantages, as well as allowing the mitigation and the adaptation. But it's a bit the model of this. If you know them like this, you know the terms of the. I'm not sure, and other areas, maybe in other areas it's said differently. The idea here is to create a pilot plant, and then the technical assistances, these can be incorporated, and we can work with these transformation centers. That's the idea. And always the financing is going to be a matter. We are calculating the process and the transformation center, $200,000. That would be the cost to implement that. And that can even reach $600,000. The advantage of this is that, it has many, and the idea is that with the communities, we agree not to have a deforestation. So they are vigilant of this matter, and they can surveil to see if they can save resources of the emissions. And also they can take profit of working in a circular economy, because there's many things. We take profit only about the 3% of the fruit to work on the oil, and every other thing can be used. Also, the transportation is an important thing. So here, solutions they could solve and generate a better income with a shared value in the communities and in the private sector. And here we have a role of the public sector to guarantee, like, what do we do? So this gets incentivized, and we have a different type of sector. We could have some studies and some projects. So the private bodies, they can help us to invest and to approve these initiatives, and who has the state, who is the responsible body, who is going to promote these initiatives. The Ministry of Energy is going to subsidiate the panels, but for the identification, why not to have, why not to do that and to go to the type of application, it can be also productive for 10 years to come, probably. This is going to make things easier in the final, so they can contribute to their sector. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you so much, Ivo. Really appreciate your help. Of course, the link between agriculture and energy is basic, and it turns out even a more steady reality when we talk about the last mile. I invite you now to come here, Engineer Study Valdez from the head of director, the Subsecretary of Panama. Thank you so much. Welcome. And we have as well Gabriela Guerrero of Colombia. And we have in the ministry, in the ministerial area, like a bit, Edwin is going to save us a bit to work on the work of Bolivia. And we have here Eduardo Jose. We have a conversation with the audience as well to see if they can work and see what's going on. And the Secretario of Honduras and in this sector. So if they come, we receive you. If not, we are going to take profit of the experts. They're coming, yes. Gabriela Guerrero of the International Department and Mines of Colombia. Thank you so much, Gabriela. I think I'm going to sit down there because then I won't be. Let us see. And then the audience as well. The idea is to help us out with all the doubts that you have and all the different measures organizations are working in the access in different funds. And Panama, tell us a little about the programs that are working on in remote areas and in isolated areas. Which are the challenges that we have promoted and the financing? What are they doing? How are they analyzing these? What has been working? What hasn't? Tell us about your perspective, please. Good morning, all. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm going to share a bit some determinations and decisions that we've been working on, evaluating on a modification of the electrical area in Panama, because the access in energy has been located as the gap to close is really very difficult with the mechanisms that we've been working on until now, of course. And we've been also working in programs of the solar champions. We had a lot of support of BID and other multilateral, and it was key because this has powered up the women in the Nove Urle, where really the areas that have these deficiencies to energies, they are in Panama. There's something that is done in Panama. And this has been for 3 generations now. We want to be promoting them, and this depends on the empowerment. This makes it, but also we've been working with some exercises of geographic tasks. Therefore, we were able to choose the plan air. That is a matter of planning what is the situation, what Panama needs, around 240 million of balboas to assist many people when they don't have access to energy. And of course, like with more than the 60% of that amount that is requested, this is going to be to achieve extensions of networks and mini networks. 60% of the investment, but to have at least 30% that probably maybe what we have identified. And the most visible thing that we've seen, and I'm very pleased to listen to it here. There's some references, as what Brazil told us, and it's a matter of modifying the framework to make out of this an inclusion of the responsibility of how they are operating on these sites. We have many milestones to break for the decision taking to reach this law modification. We've been working a lot in that because we have had always a sort of perception that this can make the rates more expensive. And really, this is the most efficient way we can close these gaps and reach those people. So we are really working and doing many, many things. And I really do believe in the mini network challenges. I had the chance to work with a project that was very important to me in the community of the honey. There, even today, it is easier to reach what we do from Colombia than even from Panama. And these colleagues help us out as well. There was a community that even due to the collaboration was fed from the side of Capurpana. And in the year 2019, through some funds of the Secretary of Science on Panama, and be able to reach a specific company that complies with these networks, we started promoting a pilot project where we could do an hybrid system. And this changed a lot the life quality of people in the area. And today, the honey even duplicated what was back then the demand that existed. The honey, of course, became diversified, the tourism as well, commercial. So we really do believe that there's a power there, and there's a more of the law of the framework to be able to see the basis. So many people in Panama, they have access not only to energy, but as it has been said, to a possibility of making a productive use. So it's a pleasure to share that with you. Part of what we see isolated of Bolivia, we're near Brazil, more than Brazil and on Bolivia, and this gave us a regional level in the Amazony. It is not only a country, it is the new country of the Amazonia that we have something very relevant after all. Gabriela, I'm so happy you came back because I really wanted to ask about Colombia. Colombia is one of the countries that has put in the center of the conversation justice, the needs, the program. This is huge and fantastic. And this is a wonderful program of communities. I would like to, please, if you can tell me lessons learned, would you do it again? What would you change? What have you learned? What would you not do? And where are we going with this program? Thank you so much. Thank you all for this invitation, Irena, the North American Bank. And I'm sorry, I'm representing the ministerial area. The ministry could not make it, so I'm here representing him. And I'm sorry about that, but well, at least I'm here. Coming back to this subject, that's wonderful for me to get here in this time because we were precisely discussing this very same thing, and we have in this concerning the regulation, we have the CREC, but we've been doing that thanks to the initiative that the minister had implementing the committee 60W+. What does it mean? We, with the committee, we are widening the possibility to have another level of investment to reach communities and also the program of Colombia. We have two programs now. One of them, as you say, these are energetic communities, and they look to impact families in the country. And right now, we are in 1,300. I don't have the precise figure, but we are moving on because we have like around the 2%, and now we're getting to the 3.8. and this is related to the matrix of Colombia. This with the energetic communities looks for the reduction on the rates because people in the energetic transition they put that on the center and they really do deal with the life quality. So this is something regulatory that we are widening, and this looks for the guaranteeization of energy to all the citizens of Colombia. And as Mr. Petro said, it's bit by bit, and it has a commercial relationship and many things that we are moving on with. And let me come back to the previous subject of Photo Plus. It's a high-level situation that every 50 days they get together in the Ministry of Palma and they articulate the ministers that are related with subjects to solve bottlenecks for the investment of the companies and the sectors for the energetic transition. So therefore, a company that is going to work with a community and some cooperators has been affected by environmental issues or by proceedings of connection points. All of this is dealt with in the WOG. And there we already did our first thing with the European Union. Felix Fernandez Chavo was there. They were with the company, with the companies that Tami, that is working also with the Eolica. All of that we've been doing a bit of work in the committee, and we have the connection points and shown that the reason why Mr. Minister was not here because they were in the energy week, but they look to generate a license of environmental permit or a work that has to be done with communities is something environmental in 1 year, but it's going to be also largest with all the requirements. And this is going to get a long time with the energy. This is a reduction of costs and some improvement with Craig and with you. And what about the energetic communities and what to do with the things in life to give quality of life and to reduce the cost of the rates? For example, like a lady from a shop in the region of Las Costas, we have, I don't know, a receipt of 300,000 pesos, 100,000 pesos, another level to the community, making it more human. And here we saw that in the discussion with Boric. And here also, what they're doing with communities as well. This is something that we need to work on, and the message is to get together, like the OLADE, to be able to strengthen the programs that we have, and then to be able to move on, energetically speaking. This committee, SGPWO Plus, and the is a committee to solve problems, and I think that's the focus that we need in terms of accesses, in terms of development. I think this is not only the Ministry of Energy, the Environment, and the local environment. Each of them they has the way to be, and all of these things, all of these subjects, they touch many sectors. The idea would be to create a committee to organize what needs to be done. Your experience is about the context of the accelerator, if I'm not mistaken. So I would like you please to tell me from the BIP and Bolivia, the barriers that are essential, what has happened, how these have been solved, and how are we going to base that to these type of programs? And what do you see concerning these challenges and concerning the 3 or 4%, depending on the country? Thank you so much. The bank has been with Bolivia for a long time now. It's something that I wanted to underline. It's a matter of non-stopping. It's a matter of establishing the the goal, even though it's difficult, and the idea is to give community to the programs. Because if we lose that, start again is difficult. All this experience, all this knowledge is very, very important to take into account. This is something that we've been doing, and the current program where we are is the program of the ones that came before. The first one was $2,000 million, the second of 200, and then again we are moving on to benefit more or less. I would say almost 300, finishing with the last one 300, and that is very positive. And in the investment of 3,200 per user, and that extension of network that is going to make things easier in several areas. It's much easier to try to use the operator, so it's faster. It's faster because probably we have many constructors included. And the regulatory area, this regulation of distribution is something that is a matter of decisions. The public administration has had to take that. And the operation of maintenance, the operator is going to be in charge, and the CAPEX decision, if it's going to be based on is energetic. It's a matter of the universal goal. Right now, they have that planned. And here, this has made things easier. An important challenge is how we're moving on the program of number 2, the 99%. Is included here, and now we're going to move to 20 of this like the regulatory challenge. This is not written down, and the program that we did with a mini network is quite new, and it's something about the mechanisms as well, and with the municipality. So and then we will have 20. You cannot work with that. And what we are doing is to try to define this regulatory framework. Why? Because there's a program that is number 4, and it's going to have some type of networks. What about the sustainability? Who is going to operate? And what are they going to do? I mean, are we going to verify this socialization? And how does this exists? Is this a mechanism to solve things? Because what about the high costs? But the cost that a system faces that is interconnected, it's a matter of doing things. And when you have to continue the programs, this is going to be solved. And the variabilities, they would resume the public policy to reach what's coming. And then the second thing is to deliver these regulatory mechanisms and the energetic communities that are key to socialize the experience of Brazil. And then at the end, what you mentioned is cost efficient. If we talk about the economic subject, there's no discussion whatsoever telling you that paying expensive batteries is cheaper than buying all the things and burning wood. Economically speaking, this is something regulatory to see how we distribute who pays what, and the risks are economic. Yes, it is a risk. Yes, as go slow but safe, right? Yes, it's difficult, it's expensive. We have to change the vision, and I believe that along of this regulatory part, it's about the need to create evidence these cases that can give success to these were very efficient in extending the network. And in Latin America, this has started, and this gives us a new scheme of things. And this includes changes that our regulators and institutions they're not familiarized with. I'm not saying that they don't want to, it's but something that they're not going to work with. In IRENA, for example, they can share these experiences to package a bit. I wanted to open up now of people that are here, the panelists as well, and have Jose, if I'm not mistaken, Eduardo and Ivo. The panelists are going to kill me. Hello, good morning. I'm Rubén Menendez de Peru, or from Peru. I was listening to the Amazonia statements, and I reached the conclusion that all the entities, governmental entities or private, they are developing systems of energy through the sun panels. And maybe it is the most visible thing, but I have not listened to any. And I would like, please, if you can tell me, what about these natural resources? This is not only sun energy, we have the rain of the Lake Titicaca. We've been using many of this, but then what about the biomass? I have not been listening to any type of development, and I think this has not been developed. Maybe there's a practical example that I'm not aware of. And probably the idea is to try to contact that because I'm very interested on the Amazonia. This is related to the practical action, and the 60% in Peru is the Amazonia. That is the first part, right? So please tell me about it and specify the answer. You're so kind. And the second one is related to the. I lost the idea, sorry. Yes. The fact of establishing a system related with energetic power that is poor. We talk about the correction of reaching everywhere, but the energetic power is also reaching a remote place where we can have access of energy, a focus, a source of light such as this, one-to-one access or energy of the radio, not for the freezer. And this is a energetic purity. I don't know if there's any indicator of the minimum that we could have to have access to electricity, not being in the energetic lack of capacity in this case being poor. I would like to know if you can detail that. Thank you so much, Jose. In matters of the first part of the question of what's going on, maybe Edwin has been experiencing some things. We are agnostic in matters of technology. It's true that what we have done is not because we want to exclude other technologies, but because this is the technology that is more advanced in this type of projects, where we have more volts. That's it. I'm trying to respond to that. Of course, this has to be technologically feasible, the regulation of the programs that are neutral. There's something there, and in the case of Bolivia, we have some part of Castaño, and we have not developed any type of power. And I think that there, it's a bit about this synergy, the network of the distribution that is concentrated there. And then we have the sun energies that are quite modular and the fast installation. But precisely something that we have analyzed in the Amazonia, we don't have the best radiation. So it's more expensive because it's a matter of over-dimensioning what's being said. Given that, of course, the energy can give you a more steady quality energy, and I think that that's an area to work with. These solutions, these isolated solutions, they give the mini centrals that sometimes is matter of the construction. And the matter of solving these subjects at a long term can be done and can be complementary. Um, Gabriel, I would like to have I would like to have that contact. I'm not an expert, but Iliani is a person from the technical team that deal with that, and they work for this management. And well, we're going to start a cooperation with China for the development of the biomass. And this is not in our agenda right now, but that's the idea. It's a eolic and panel matter with the communities, but it's something that we can use to help and to get to know. Concerning the energy, the of course the idea here to have light change your life. We are so sure about that. But what changes your life is a productive economic generation of like more than light as such. And Brazil saved the observatory of energetic power like something electronic with many experiences. And the World Wide Bank has this multi-tier framework of the levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels is part of the access. And how are we going to get there? And how we're going to mix things. There are many studies that mark like 1,000 megawatts per week. And we have a macro average to say, okay, you're out of poverty, energetic poverty, taking into account a management concerning the increase of energy as the most important time measure or best to measure energetic poverty and economic development. We have the three here in a framework, or they continue? No, we don't have any specific really. But just to tell you about it, from Brazil, there was a difficult consideration when you reach with the individual solution and you say yes, they're in the battery, but you can also only connect your TV. I don't want that. I want the solution that is complete. So this is something technological as well. So these solutions, they reach the quality on the quality of the solution of a perception of the modular ideas, right? They do increase the size of the systems, of course. Thank you so much for the question. It's very interesting. Let me tell you about what to do. There's a subsidy by law, and so the big consumers, they want to get to identify important customers, most of them, and they have a support to cover up like 150 kilowatts. So this would be like a sort of a reference. So this would be for one person in Panama. And one of the most important challenges when we start analyzing and boosting the modification of laws so they have access to areas that can be developed by the distributing companies. So they finish to break this gap of mini network is that probably many of these sites at the same time, of course, in spite they have these solutions, at least at the beginning, they can have individual consumptions concerning that figure. So we would have to consider the rate uh, belonging to the inclusion of the investment program in the distributor, but also at the same time taking into account this type of users as they have a cross subsidy. And in Panama, we have a very important task that is precisely the matter of focusing subsidies. So it's about that. It's about a reference of 100 to 100 kilowatts. That is not only the unique criteria to see how much a person can pay for energy. So this is something that goes hand to hand with a matter of development of some elements to reach that at the end of the day and add them up to this type of project absorption of the invoices that they finally see. This is a huge work ahead. The modern energy is of the consumption for energy per year. Like it is quite a standard measure at a macro level. This is a part of an indicator of something that we've been using. Just to complement, yes, we in Colombia, we are creating these energetic census with the experience of the ECLAC. I remember they did a cooperation, and with Olate, we are in the middle of the construction of the observatory. So we would be very interesting in moving on because this is essential. And the matter of multidimensional poverty that we have here, it's an identification. In the meantime, as this happened over the year, the kilowatts was of 303 for the carbon footprint. And the sun energy had this type of warranty. So it is a reduction of the rates and it is a mitigation of what's going on. Thank you so much. I don't know if you want to say anything at all. The challenges and the networks, of course, they're going to be very much appreciated at all times. You're getting the microphone. You still have the microphone. Yes, of course. It's a matter of taking into account and remembering that the citizen is always on the center, and this tax is completed when there's universal access. So, okay, they're calling me for the voting. So just to tell you that the transition is not possible without transmission. And the center of works is in these matters. We have to agree on the region. We have to work all together and work it with an agenda that is global and it is not temporary of a government. If we put that as a focus and is central, it's something that we are going to do with our support with the fair energetic transition that people require. Thank you. From Panama, really, the access of energy is a right. It's an essential right. We see that as a basis so we can really boost developments in many areas. We are all there wanting to work so these communities have not only access to the minimum, but access to the energy that allows to develop in a positive manner. Thank you all very much. Thank you, because with the objective, so we can all get together to this type of challenges, that is always fantastic. In Latin America, we are very near, we have the will to get there. So thank you so much. Have a good day, and thanks very much to